Good morning, Hamburg! Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining me at this talk. I was so thrilled when I received this invitation just some time ago to come and speak to you today in this beautiful city of Germany, Hamburg, my favorite, with, I have to say, the friendliest faces I've seen in Germany. So before we start, after this lovely panel, may I ask everybody to please stand up one time. Stretch a bit, get in some oxygen for my talk. Please say hello to your neighbor on the right. I'm sure you haven't maybe greeted them yet. It's always an excuse. Say hello to your neighbor on the left. As procurement, as professionals, we are here to network, to mix and mingle with each other. And before we start my talk, I'm going to start up with a selfie. Great, wonderful. So, I'm very happy, now you may sit down. I'm very, very happy to be here with you today. And also, I must say, who knows what the future of procurement will behold? So I really have to enjoy this moment, to be honest. Who knows whether there will be procurement even required in the future? So let's make the most out of the summit. Now, what is the first thing that came into your mind when you saw the title Procurement of the Future? Did you think about AI, ML, intelligent systems, or robots like Sophia, who was recently named being the first robot with a citizenship from Saudi Arabia? If we can kindly go to the next slide, please. So, my name is Charlotte Brabandt. I'm based in New York and have been in the field of procurement for nearly a decade. So today I would like to speak to you about the role of procurement, the future trends which we will be expecting, and what we can do about it. So, the role of procurement is really changing and evolving, just like Industry 1.0 up to 1.4, through when we started with the assembly line with Henry Ford, up till now, it's all through technology, all very, very digitalized. But what does it mean for us as the role of procurement? And how are we, as procurement professionals, going to position ourselves? How can we prepare? And how will our role impact the way we work and cooperate with each other? So, the transformations brought by digital technologies, they may be beneficial ones for us, and they may help us overcome certain limitations in the future. And as we see through technology rising, the pace of automation has also increased with the advent to driverless cars, pilotless drones, and also automated retail systems, just like self-service checkouts or some kiosks. And that whole technological revolution, it emphasizes the emergence, truly, of autonomous intelligent systems within the future of procurement. So, when we're talking about the new trends, I believe we are really connecting the global economy with each other. And at the end of the day, we have three major trends which are just connected to the global economy. Firstly, the whole trend of mobile. I mean, by 2030, I'm sure it's no surprise to anybody here, it's known that half of the workforce globally is going to have millennials integrated. So that's definitely something which we need to look out for. There is no more 9 to 5 working hours. Millennials, they like to have their own way of working, they like to work where they want, and the mobility is definitely going to increase. Secondly, as we've heard before in the speech, we're talking about corporate social responsibility in the corporate world, sustainability, responsible procurement. In the future, it's not only going to just be price negotiation and that's it. We need to look beyond the cake We need to look beyond what can we do, quality, sustainability, footprint. And then thirdly, the digital trend. Everything nowadays is about speed, flexibility, instantaneousness. That again comes to the millennials wanting instant feedback. Nowadays, if we look at the dating field, you swipe right, you swipe left, like, don't like. Nowadays, it's the same feel we get in procurement, in negotiations. We like, we don't like. Instant decision, instant feedback. But technologies are changing the world. Everybody is talking about AI, blockchain, IoT, Internet of Things. Now, may I ask, in our lovely crowd here, what do you think is going to impact procurement the most? Can I have a show of hands? Who thinks AI will impact procurement the most? Okay, that's 1/3. Who thinks blockchain? Less than 1/3. And IoT? That's about the Bluetooth sensors, predictive maintenance, all of that? Even less. So in actual fact, what you don't know yet is that they are all interlinked. They all build on each other, and they all impact procurement and will impact the way we work together in the future. So AI, through all these algorithms which we are currently building, we are able to analyze big data in a much more sophisticated, efficient manner. Us as humans, having analyzed scientific data, for example, it won't be the same any longer. If you have algorithms, if you have machines doing certain analysis, microscopic analysis, it will be much more detailed, which the human brain, the capacity couldn't even take. So artificial intelligence is going to impact all sorts of industries. We're talking about the technology world, we're talking about healthcare, consumer goods, automotive. But then we have blockchain, the big marketplace, and everybody really talking about blockchain. And as Thomas rightly pointed out, I have spent the last years in Switzerland and living right in the crypto valley, really where blockchain, the whole crypto token, it's all really happening there. And we all feed off each other, and it has truly become a hub if you look at the whole blockchain field and then going beyond that towards crypto. But blockchain will be beneficial for all of us. I see it by firstly becoming more traceable. We will have a traceability in the supply chain. Secondly, we will have a timestamp in the supply chain where we know where each component, raw material was, at which place, at what time, and it will finally be clear, an end-to-end supply chain. And thirdly, third party. So here we are talking about knowing where does this titanium, where does this rare earth, what we are searching, what we are sourcing, where does it actually come from? And then thirdly, IoT. IoT, Internet of Things, we already have that a lot in our production lines. If we look at the whole Bluetooth sensors, if we have predictive maintenance, and did you know that within the next decade, we are going to have more than 1 trillion sensors connected to the internet? And now keeping in mind all of these internet sensors and all of this power and this technology which is just happening, by 2020, 22% of the global vehicles, so we're talking about 290 vehicles altogether, by 2020, half of these vehicles will be connected to the internet. And by 2024, they say that half of the global homes will have internet appliances. So you can see technology is just becoming more powerful. It will help us to track production lines in a much more efficient way, help us ship parts a lot more easily, reduce inventory costs and the downtime, and mostly it will help us to work virtually. So I currently operate in a global virtual team, reporting to China, get my instant decision making within seconds, because it's just all virtually connected, and I don't have to wait for the weekly decision-making meetings or governance meeting to present my results and maybe get the okay or not. I mean, how many times do we prepare the slides for a week, go on Friday, do our presentation, we forgot to put in a point into the one slide, correct it and come back next week. You know, it's, I can tell you stories about that. So I would like to give you just an example. The logistics industry. I'm not sure how many logistic procurement we actually have in the room, but the logistics industry has truly evolved since the 80s, and it is the engine of global trade. In other words, just imagine, we are a month before Christmas, and currently in the world we have 17 million sea freight containers operating, shipping our goods. And we have more than 1 million air freight containers currently around the world, making 5 billion shipments happen. So these amount of shipments, you can just imagine what's going on behind the scenes of Amazon, regards again to our colleagues at the back, or to behind DHL, Deutsche Post, what is just happening. And as Kühne Nagel recently said, for each of these shipments, you need to fulfill 200 documentations to make one shipment happen. So before we used to have the whole fax, we used to write each other the POs via letters, then the fax came out, then we had the email revolution, and now it has just become an email flood with all of this instantaneous feedback messaging and now all these shipments. So this is an example to show you how this sort of industry will truly benefit from these technologies rising and from these trends which we are talking about. Now, the digital trend, and here the digital disruption for procurement is or has already begun and is already happening out there. So through digital, the speed to market has just increased. Information transfer has become instant. We are more flexible. We have shorter life cycles. Increasing demands of customers, individualized demands especially. And everything and the change has just become a lot more faster. So today, how do we operate? We still have all of the processes in place. We get a requisition, we get our description, we go to R&D or to the stakeholders and say, hi, it's procurement again. What do you exactly need? We get our feedback from them, and how many times do we hear from R&D? Do we really have to go through procurement? Can't we just order it ourselves? You're such a burden. This whole procurement process is such a hurdle for us. I'm sure all of us have this challenge quite often. And in the future, procurement will just be like an experience. We will be very much outcome orientated, and I believe in procurement the data will actually be the new currency which we will operate in. So really looking beyond just price negotiations. So the future of procurement, the future is now, and let me tell you why. Firstly, we are going through different trends, different cycles. Firstly, we have supplier relationship management. In the future, we're going to be talking in a partnership way, in a linked way to our suppliers. It will not be all anonymous anymore. It's about sharing, partnering, and helping each other, valuing each other. So supplier relationship management will be a core competency going forward. Secondly, value creation. And here we are really talking beyond just the price negotiation. This will be sustainability and responsible procurement. Thirdly, innovation will be the core driver. So here we're talking about being more service-orientated and continuous improvement. Fourthly, portable manufacturing. We will not be going to the low-cost countries any longer. In other words, maybe through 3D printing, we will be able to print our goods in-house. And like this, even leave less of a footprint. And last but not least, we're talking about provisional workforce. So here, again, the whole millennials factor. So I know we have different generations. For example, Z, the baby boomers, Y, also called as the millennials. They believe in flexibility, instantaneousness. Then afterwards, we have the newcomers, which are the alphas, and they will be talking a lot more really digital, and the way they grow up now, even some 2-year-olds, they're already able to operate an iPad better than I will ever will. So they say that millennials are actually in their lifetime going through 25 different job changes, and that's just incredible. Imagine comparing that to today. So the future trends, it will really be an end-to-end supply chain full of transparency. Again, supplier relationship management, value creation, innovation, portable manufacturing, and provisional workforce. So what will you do? We always have two choices to make. Any sort of change, any sort of innovation, it's all very much up to us, how we go about it. Are we going to stick to the way we have always and follow the trend very casually, slowly, see what the others do and maybe engage with that as well? Or are we going to go out there, think more strategic? I always get very much excited about procurement because especially procurement is still the area where you have so much potential. And looking at cognitive procurement, how technology is rising, I believe we, as procurement, we are like an orchestra in the ecosystem of suppliers. And we are the ones coming up with all of the solutions. Everybody is always looking at us to find the solutions and to get the best out of this negotiation. So it is really the human touch at the end of the day which will be most valuable. And as Elon Musk recently said, that it is human which is underrated. So soft skills, influencing skills, and being connected. Hence why I wanted you guys to introduce each other at the beginning of our talk. This whole interconnectedness, that is really what's going to thrive in the future. So now we're coming to the end of my talk. I truly hoped you enjoyed this little bit of insight. Please feel free to ask any questions also at the back. I'm going to be around. And if you liked it, always forget to open the app, go to Future of Procurement, and like it. Thank you very much.